All right, let's dive in. We're about to tackle a massive, multi-trillion-dollar puzzle. I'm talking about the Forex market, the foreign exchange market. And to crack this case, we're going to follow two master detectives. And trust me, they have very different ways of looking for clues.
Think about this for a second. Every single day, trillions of dollars are zipping around the globe, currencies being bought and sold like crazy. But what makes someone click buy or sell? What's that secret signal, that hidden clue that gives them the confidence to make a move? That's the big mystery we're digging into today.
So to figure all this out, traders can't just, guess. They have to be detectives. They're out there gathering evidence, building a case for their trades. And just like any good mystery novel, our detectives have two totally different ways of solving the puzzle of where the price is headed next.
Okay, so it's time to meet our investigators. Each one comes from a completely different school of thought. Let's see how they work. The detectives are on the scene.
And right here, you see the massive difference in how they operate. On one side, you've got our big picture detective. This is the fundamental analyst. They are obsessed with the why. Why is the market moving? They're digging into the whole economic story. Then you have our price action detective, the technician analyst. They're all about the what and the when. What is the price doing right now? And when is the perfect moment to jump in?
All right, let's open up the first case file. We're going to shadow our big picture detective and see how they kick off their investigation using the fundamental approach.
So, what is fundamental analysis really? Well, to put it simply, it's all about trying to figure out a currency's true value. And how do you do that? By looking at the health of its country's economy. Is it booming? Is it in trouble? The core belief here is that a strong, healthy economy is eventually going to lead to a strong currency. It's just a matter of time.
So, what kind of clues are they hunting for? Well, think of it like an economic report card. They're poring over data on things like GDP and inflation. They're hanging on every word from the central banks, keeping a close eye on political events, and yeah, they're glued to the news. For this detective, the whole story of a currency is written in these big, real-world events.
And this really gets to the heart of their philosophy. You probably heard the saying, the trend is your friend, right? Well, for them, it's more like, but the fundamentals set the trend. Sure, prices can bounce around like crazy day to day, but they are absolutely convinced that the long-term direction, the big overarching trend, is always driven by these powerful economic forces.
Okay, let's put that case file aside for a minute and turn our attention to our second detective. It's time to see how the price action expert takes on the very same mystery, but with a totally different toolkit.
Now, this detective, they're not interested in any of that news or economic data. Nope. They have a completely different belief. That everything, all the news, every bit of fear and greed from every trader out there is already reflected or baked into one single place, the price chart. Their entire job is to learn how to read that chart like a map to the future.
And their clues? They're all right there on the screen. They're looking at historical price data, hunting for repeating patterns, things like a head and shoulders formation that might give them a hint about where things are going. They draw trend lines. They use all these different technical indicators to measure the market's pulse. For them, it is a world of pure data, and it all comes from one source, the price.
This brings us to their core mantra, and it's a simple one. History repeats itself. Why? Well, the thinking is that markets are driven by people, and people are driven by emotions like fear and greed. So when similar situations pop up, people tend to react in similar, predictable ways. And those reactions, they create patterns on the charts that you can spot. The past, for this detective, is the key to predicting the future.
So there you have it. Two brilliant detectives, two completely different approaches to solving the same mystery. It's time to put them side by side and really see how they stack up in a head-to-head comparison. Okay, this chart really lays it all out. The core idea for the fundamental analyst, a country's economic health is what drives its currency's value. Simple. For the technical analyst, forget the economy, all the information you could ever need is already right there in the price. And look at the time frames. We're talking long-term, weeks, months, even years for fundamentals, versus short-term, minutes, hours, days for technicals. This all leads to very different goals. One is trying to find that intrinsic, true value, while the other just wants to know what's going to happen in the next few minutes or hours.
So, does this mean they're enemies, that you have to pick a side? Not at all. Actually, a lot of the best traders kind of make them partners. They might use fundamental analysis to get the big picture, like, okay, this country's economy is really strong, so I want to buy its currency. Then they'll switch over to technical analysis to find the perfect, most precise moment to actually hit the buy button.
And that really brings us to the most important part of all this. It's not about which detective is right or better. It's about you finding your own analytical lens. It's about figuring out which one of these approaches just clicks with how you see the world.
So how do you figure that out? Well, you can start by asking yourself a few simple questions. First, what's your time frame? Are you in this for the long haul, or are you looking for quick moves? Second, what do you actually enjoy doing? Would you rather spend your time reading up on the global economy, or do you love the puzzle of a price chart? And finally, what fascinates you more? The deep why behind it all, or the immediate what of what's happening right now?
Look, at the end of the day, there is no single right answer here. There's no magic formula. It's not about crowning a winner. The best approach, the best tool, is always going to be the one that fits you, your personality, your goals, your strategy. Because both of our detectives, they both bring really valuable clues to the investigation.
And all of this leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. What is it that's ultimately driving the market? Is it the cold, hard data, the economic facts that our fundamental detective is digging up? Or is it something more primal? Is it just human psychology, the collective fear and greed of millions of people, creating patterns that our technical detective can see on a chart? The answer to that might just be the biggest mystery of them all.